Amber, what's shaking today?
What's shaking? I mean, thankfully, nothing. I do live on a fault line. So I'm grateful that there's actually nothing actually shaking here.
Mm.
But yeah, when you live where I live on Vancouver Island in the Pacific Ocean, we're very aware that shaking can actually be something that would really happen.
Well, I just, as someone who studied a lot of seismic activity, I'll
Mm.
guarantee you the surfers who are surfing off the coast of Tofino are loving the shaking right now
Oh my
because they're going to have some of the best surfing in the world.
Well, and that's such an amazing I am not a surfer. Are you a surfer?
No,
Yeah, I
no,
was
I'm
gonna
not.
say I didn't that's something we've never talked about. I have body surfed quite a bit. When I lived in, Central America, right on the Pacific there, love to body surf, and I mean, it's easy to do when the water's warm, in my opinion. Tofino is a, wetsuit required kind of surfing, which I think greatly decreases my interest. And you know what? My partner, who he is an ocean swimmer,
Yep.
and we live in an ocean that is anywhere between 7 to 9 degrees Celsius all year round. It's never warmer. It's never colder. It's always the same temperature. And he's in the ocean right now, on average, 5 times a week. And he doesn't do the cold dip. He's not a Wim Hof cold dipper. He's a swimmer. He like goes in, and he spends like if it's any less than 15 minutes in his mind, it doesn't count. So he's in that ocean at that temperature 5 times a week for 15 to 30 minutes. And he loves it. And he doesn't wear a wetsuit. People always say, "Oh, but he has a wetsuit." I'm like, "No, he goes in his Speedo." And right now his habit has been he does it early in the morning, just as the sun is coming up. And we live like literally like a 2 minute, well, he takes his scooter. He doesn't even drive. 2 minute scoot to the ocean, and he's in there 5 mornings. And yeah, I mean, good on him, but like, I'm not interested in surfing even with a wetsuit on. And he's just of his own free will dipping and swimming in the ocean. Anyway,
Well, actually, this conversation leads pretty well into the topic of today.
I was going to say, I don't even know what you want to talk about, but I guess I was talking about cold dipping and ocean swimming and surfing.
So, the topic I want to talk about today is something you and I talk about a lot in the background, but we
Okay.
really haven't brought to the podcast,
Okay.
which is around the concept of preparation.
Okay.
Now, I do not recommend listeners that if you've never swam in the ocean
Yeah, don't.
in winter,
Don't.
don't start with a 15-minute swim
No.
unless hypothermia is something you enjoy.
He has been doing it for years.
That's right. He has prepared
That's
his
right.
body
Yeah.
for this and therefore has the ability to do something that the rest of us could not just jump in and do.
Correct. And yeah, you're right. Like he's prepared. And his body, it's fascinating to me, like to put yourself in that sort of peril, let's say, 5 days a week. His body's actually prepared for it. And now I would say it almost needs it. It thrives with that kind of peril.
Sure.
But that's taken years to develop. And it's part of his self-care routine, his health and wellness routine, even his fitness routine. It's all a part of that, that he's developed. But it's taken effort and energy. It's not just showing up and getting in. It's also consistency.
Yeah.
And that consistency is why he can do it for as long as he can. And it's also something I'm not at all interested in.
No.
A hot tub, maybe. I wouldn't mind that. Getting in warm water and soaking for 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Yeah, sign me up for that.
Well, and again, we don't need a lot of preparation for the hot tub.
No, I suppose not, but
But if you wanted a hot tub for as long as he swims,
Mhm,
again, with each of these things, we need to get ready for it.
mhm,
And I say this because you and I, not only do we prepare our own podcasts and prepare our own projects and
mhm,
coaching, but we also tend to look at the future. And both you and I have futurists that we listen to.
mhm.
And if I was going to say there's a theme in 2026, it's change.
Mm,
And there are some changes that perhaps we're very prepared for, and some changes that maybe we can't even see to get ready for yet. And I'm just
What's the
curious,
question?
what are some of the things you're preparing for in 2026?
It's interesting. I am, without a doubt, I am preparing to focus my energy better in 2026 as a change management strategy because I think it's going to be very easy for me to feel overwhelmed by the amount of change that's coming. And, even being in the world of change and being someone who, helps work with individuals and organizations to manage change, I am hyper aware that part of my readiness or preparedness to work with others in times of change is that I actually need to do that for myself. I need to, I don't want to pretend that I can handle change. I want to actually be handling change as I am helping others handle change. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's really important to me at this stage of my career for me to practice what I am preaching or to like walk the talk. I have to say, when I was a novice professional, I didn't care so much about that. I would just go through the motions. And this is one of the dangers, I would say. There's a lot of people out there that are like, and I happen to have my change management in ProSci ADCAR. And there's a lot of us that are like certified change managed practitioners with ProSci ADCAR. But there's a lot of those individuals that are just going through the rote kind of, it's almost like gymnastics. They've learned the tools, they've got the techniques, they have the proprietary kind of software, and they just like put people through it. I'm like, I'm not interested in that. Um, does that have merit? Sure. Can that be helpful? Absolutely. But I actually don't want to do the theater of I'm trained, I will tell you what to do. I've taken the training and I am currently working through my own change curve in these areas. And my own experience has created empathy in me for you, for your organization. And I am continuing to learn about myself and change. And as a result, that's helping me support you to understand you through change. That's what I'm interested in. And in order to do that well, I really need to focus my energy and I need to kind of be less scattered. I tend to be someone who loves to do tons of things. And um, at the turn of 2026, I sort of made a commitment to think about remaining in rooms where I am for that room
Mm.
and I am for that conversation. I am, and by that I don't mean that I am supporting that room and that conversation. I just mean for such a time as I am in a room or in a conversation, I recognize this is a moment where I am meant for. My presence, the way I share the stories about myself that I can convey in these moments were meant for me. And the people in those moments are meant for me to share with. I haven't always thought about that. I've just kind of run Harry Carey, thrown myself around in all the rooms and all the conversations, interjecting, intersecting, trying to, assert myself in these places. I see you as a professional also do this. I think you and I have this in common because we've got massive curiosity about 1,000 different things, and we can step into any place and just talk about things that we know. The problem is, for me in 2026, is that feeds a part of my ego that I'm not interested in continuing to feed. What I'm interested in is allowing that part of my ego to let itself go and be content with not always being the person that has to say something. And perhaps even doing something that I don't do well all the time, which is listen more than I speak. And be more strategic about, as a change manager, how I myself can handle that change. Because I am not, my voice, my feistiness, my presence, it is not for every situation. And I think I've run for over 50 years aggressively in a lot of times trying to put myself in all those places because it felt like that was something I was supposed to do, or maybe I needed to do it. And now I'm going, whoa, 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 whoa. Maybe I want to be more intentional. Also, because I want to specialize, because I want to have 3 deeply meaningful, critical conversations instead of 30 mediocre to average ones. I want to wrestle with others in the way that I don't see the world, they see it the way they see it, and vice versa. And I want to kind of come out the other end where all of us are improved, better, and wiser, as opposed to just randomly having a bunch of conversations with a lot of people and maybe not having the same depth of result. Does that am I coming off with any
No, that makes perfect
because
sense
I'm
to me.
literally on the fly saying this going, "Do I even make sense by saying that?" Because this is really a hard thing for me right now. I'm thinking a lot about it.
Well, when we talk about preparation, it's not always easy when we don't know what we're preparing for.
Mhm.
So, as chef, I'm sure you knew how to prepare for every dish.
I suppose, although my chef skills, I've told the listeners before, like I started out in that industry, but one of my kids now is a professional chef, and boy, like it's taken the emphasis off my need to be chefy, and I find myself going like, oh, I just want to like eat the food. I don't really care about the chefing part anymore, and I love it and I value it, but my energy towards it, so different, which, that takes your sharpness away. Like, it's funny, I used to be on the cusp of the culinary world, and now I'm not the same way, because I'm not as focused on that, and I think that's also kind of what I was leaning towards, like, where do I wanna be on the cusp? And it needs to be in less places because I'm incredibly provocative. That's the feistiness. And I want that provocation to be used for good and not for my ego, and evil ego in some cases, just because I want to hear, myself talk. And also, like I want to become particularly um, masterful in just a couple of areas as opposed to being more generalized in a lot of areas. And I think for me, that is about how am I holding change and managing change? Because as I want to support others through it, I need to be wrestling with my own emotions and my own self-awareness. And I tell my students often like this, there's no destination. And I say that with such conviction and I hope I'm right. I don't know that I am, but I hope I'm right in that there is no ultimate destination where you just arrive one day and go, yeah, I'm done. Um, because I feel like there's just so much more to learn. Oftentimes when we're even recording podcasts, Martin, I have these moments where I'm like, man, I'm not even going to like the sound of what I'm saying right now tomorrow because there's such an onslaught of change in the world that like my views today, I would hope uh, I am flexible and agile enough to change my views tomorrow if that feels wise. And yeah, and so ultimately I hope there isn't a destination. I hope it's just this journey of figuring stuff out and then I just want to be in that game. And like I said, I really am wanting I thought I did all this amazing ego work many years ago, and I did, but I think part of my ego hoped that that was a destination that I had arrived at, and nope, it's not. It's actually not the destination I arrived at. There's more ego work to be done, so I feel like 2026 has got more of that for me, and that's also like I wanna be in the rooms and in the conversations I'm meant for. I recently it was so interesting. I was in a social engagement and somebody was saying something and somebody else was saying something. It was a great, robust conversation. And then I spoke and I could just sense what I said just flopped in the room. It just, it just turned everybody off of the conversation. And in one case, it incited another person and their behavior changed for the entire rest of the meeting. And I came away from that at first just being like, "Whoa, can't stand that person." But what I recognized was as I came away and I've sort of reflected, I realized, "Oh, I spoke out in a room I didn't need to say anything in." And it was a great lesson because I realized I'm like, that's not my room. That isn't a room that I needed to say anything." And I realized that, the ego takes the hit because I wasn't because what I said wasn't, like, valued, and yet my ego also and the process of thinking about it, I can learn that, oh, actually, it just was not the right place, right? And I that's okay. I can survive that. When I was younger, I probably didn't think I could, but I can now, and I wanna do more of that. Yeah.
So as you're talking, what I'm really hearing pretty loud and clear, actually, is that space around James Carson's infinite versus finite games. And that when you say there's no destination, there's no finite. So in a James Cars sort of infinite game, you've got known and unknown players. There's no specific way to win, and the overall purpose is to keep the game in motion. And
Mm,
what I'm hearing you say is the journey.
yeah.
The journey is the game. That there's nowhere to take the game. It's to take the journey. You know, as a Star Trek fan, I'd say to boldly go where no one has gone before.
Well, it's interesting when you say that too, because that is so diametrically opposed to the definition of projects and the definition of project management. Because how and as a project manager, how we define project is it's a unique product, service, or result that is going to be created in a time frame. It's time based. There's a beginning and there's an end. And what you just were saying kind of immediately made me think, oh my gosh, like to talk about it as a journey, not a destination, means it's more the operational side, which is this ongoing. What is the operational side of your career trajectory, your sense of self as a professional, as opposed to what are you uniquely going to create and what's the end point, which is okay, now we've had project success, it's over, we pass it off to operations. And I guess I'm on the fence with both because as a project manager, I really understand that time bound part, but as a professional individually thinking about my career, it's actually like, "Oh, no, I'm not there's no project. This is operational." This is like there is no time bound. So it's interesting that there's a yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way, that I actually feel like I'm holding to the value of the ongoing for good. And that honestly, it's exhausting to think about that because then you think, "Oh, well, how will I ever know if I have success?" Good question. How do any of us ever know if we have success? And what does success mean? Like how do you define success? As
Well,
a professional,
yeah.
I should say.
Well, I was going to say
And I have
contextually.
to tell you that because I know where you'll go and I don't want you to go there because you
Oh,
always equate that back to family and relationships.
well,
But if you were just going to be specific about profession,
yeah,
career, um, keeping in mind, I'm not just qualifying success as a part of your overall family piece, of
sure.
course, but just in that profession thing, what does
Yeah.
success look like?
Professional success to me means the harmonization, and I want to be very specific about that word, around economic and impact.
Mm,
That there has to be an economic success in profession. We have a wherewithal and we have to get through life.
mhm,
You got bills, I have bills, we all have
yeah,
bills, but there has to be an impact as well.
mhm,
And sometimes, certainly we've talked to people in coaching. I've coached somebody and they're like, this is a job. I show up here, I make my money. This is where my economic space is. And then I leave and I go on and make an impact over here.
mhm,
And some people, I absolutely have to show up at a job where my impact is outstanding for my economics. But in any success ratio for profession, I would say it would have to be some combination of economic and impact.
'kay.
How does that land for you?
Yeah, I mean, mhm, I'm just trying to think about what part of that I think is either missing for me or if that kinda captures it all. Um, I'm I mean, I think I'm learning something about myself, I've sort of always kind of understood it, but when I became an employer for the first time, and I've talked about this in previous podcasts, I have spent most of my career having very few employees work for me and having more volunteers that I am shepherding, let's say. I use the term shepherd because honestly, volunteers, you herd them. You don't, and you guide them and you goad them, but you can't tell them what to do. Or if you do tell them what to do, you'll find yourself short of volunteers. So because most of my professional experience is under that environment, I think for me, I have learned something about myself as an employer, which is I'm a shitty employer. I'm really suck at it because I am interested in empowering and inspiring others. I see other people's value sometimes when they don't. I don't know how I do that, but I know as a volunteer administrator, that was very much just like an intrinsic ability I had. Whether it's something I learned or whether it's something I just always had, I can't tell you anymore because I've just been at it for so long. But the idea that when I hire someone to work for me, I can't allow them to just work for me. I have to encourage, invest, empower, and inspire them to take my job or to leave my employment because it's just not good enough as an opportunity for them because I see their value and their power and their ability, and I just want to release them to go and do awesome things. So I think for me, success, I think I can see in addition to what you're suggesting is my success metric is are the people that I'm impacting doing awesome?
Hmm.
And do I wear it as a badge? I don't know if I do. I'm just so darn proud of them. I'm so inspired that I got to be a part of their trajectory, even small little bits of that. And I just go, like, I'm overwhelmed with um like, I'm impressed. I'm so impressed with how other people thrive, and I love that. So that's a huge part of how I measure my success as a professional. I think also that's probably why I've been drawn to becoming a coach myself because I realize, oh, shitty employer, always interested in making sure other people are doing well. And I'm the employer who if I hire someone to do a job for me and I realize when I hire them because they're so uniquely skilled part of their job is actually beneath their skill level, I will do that part of their job for them to release them from it so that they can go on and do other cool stuff, which is like, not smart. If you're thinking about being an employer who's giving someone a job and you're expecting them to follow the job, is it smart to empower and encourage and inspire someone to be awesome? Absolutely. But does it get the job done? No, because I end up doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I realize it has to be a huge metric for me as is for success because I keep looking for it and I keep screwing that up. Like I do. This is what I do. I'm either an inspirer, a motivator, and empowerer as an employer, or I'm a micromanager. I only have hot or cold. And I hate micromanagement, but I will do it because it's like my only other setting.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So in addition to what you're saying, I would say that's a metric for
No,
me.
no. I love that, and certainly I've seen.
I know you've
And
seen
I say
this.
that from the outside looking in
Yeah.
on some of the places you've been. So I kind of want to bring two things because you just kind of brought up two pieces in my brain, which is
Okay.
one, productivity. Did we achieve what we were trying to do in terms of productivity
Right.
as an employer?
Right.
But I also heard talent management.
Yeah.
And as a talent manager, I always think there's three places I'm talent managing you. I'm talent managing you up,
Yes.
I'm talent managing you across,
Right.
or I'm talent managing you out. And I've seen you talent manage people in all three of those. And they're not always like up, that's easy because everyone likes it. Across, sometimes that's a natural space of growth.
Yeah.
I've seen you talent manage people out because wrong fit. I've also seen you talent manage people out because you've grown as much as you could grow here.
Yes.
And it's time for you to
To move
leave.
on.
Yeah. It's time for you to grow to your next space, and that's not here.
Yeah.
And
I have
and
fired a lot of people. And literally, I just want to name it because what you're saying is I know I have fired a lot of people. I have a tremendous amount of experience at firing people. I could I could see any employee I have ever fired on the street and hug them and have a great conversation with them, even though I have fired them. And I guess I do take pride in that because the firing for me has always been about releasing them to their next and or better opportunity. And yeah, as a part of the firing, I've been able to impart that to them, which means that the relationship hopefully is intact. There may be a few people that, um, you know, have feelings, emotions towards me that aren't what I would have for them, and that's okay, right? Like I still send them love and support, because I recognize being fired is not something anyone really wants to have done to them. I also have been fired, so I'm on both sides of that, and yeah, but I do. I have had to do that more times than perhaps a lot of other employers, especially ones that self-declare they're shitty at it. Um, and and at the same time recognize that, like, I'm just so much of a people person when it comes right down to it. Even though I, don't always present that way, I just genuinely am really invested. I always wanna be really invested in the trajectory of others. So much so that I guess, yeah, it is a part of how even my ego gets fed. And not the bad part, not the evil side of my ego, like, like I'm just not that. It's that I take pride. I have personal pride in the success of others that I've had the opportunity to encourage.
So I want to say thank you because in today's conversation around 2026, you've made it clear, or at least as I've heard it, that success equals continuing the journey
Yes.
and empowering those around you to grow and thrive.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for helping me get that out there because this is all, like I said, off the top of my head, but I think I did land there. Mhm.
And thank you for the wonderful conversation to get there.